The use of technology is becoming more popular among school districts. We are seeing more schools involving technology in the learning process. There are lots of advantages and disadvantages when it comes to the use of technology in the classroom, but as we see more of technology, the way students learn will change. The use of technology in education has been a big controversy for years, but now, more than ever, with 60% of the schools in the U.S. issuing laptops and tablets, technology is becoming a big part of learning techniques.
I think new technology will hopefully have a positive impact. Again, it all comes down to the use. If it's used correctly and we learn it in a certain way and we use it for good, then of course it's going to be positive. Unfortunately, the negatives are always there. It's just how much we're able to filter those negatives and get them out of the way our children use them in the future.
Woo! Where all of a sudden an entirely new narrative was brought to my attention. Technology is going to solve all of our problems. Technology can fix education. The Silicon Valley billionaires remake schools. Artificial intelligence is going to do everything we need it to do.
As technology becomes more a part of our education, it will have an influence on the way students learn. Students will be more engaged, participate more, and have access to new information. Technology can help engage students through active learning.
In good ways and in bad ways, and I'll give you an example. I just had a 5th grade class in here. We went on Google Earth. It was really good for them. They were able to travel all over the world, and yet there was sort of a moment that's kind of creepy. You know, so they could zoom in on their houses. They could do things that I never could do as a 5th grader or even as somebody in high school, and those are great. But then a lot of times there's a negative side to it that you don't always foresee.
Technology can have a positive impact by helping students become more engaged. Teachers can help to engage their students through many active learning activities, such as collaborative learning groups, video reactions, learning games, and online class discussions. Getting students engaged in school has been an obstacle for years, but with the use of technology, students can become immersed and interested in the content they are learning.
Well, I think just the idea of using technology, for instance, I've been teaching 26 years now. There'd be certain times when a question would come up, and I would say, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll try and figure out the answer, or let's all try and figure it. Well, now, you know, take out the cell phone and you've got the answer right there.
And yet, by the end of freshman year, 50% of that incoming freshman class was credit deficient, meaning that they were worse than when they had first come in. It's almost as if the charter system took a page out of the book that Los Angeles Unified School District wrote, who around the same time had decided to reallocate $1 billion in funding from the space in their budget that was supposed to go to remaking decrepit buildings in the district to iPads for all.
Although technology has many positives, technology can also have some negative effects when it comes to using it in the classroom. The use of technology in school could possibly become a distraction for students. Technology can also limit social interactions between students.
Technology can negatively impact our lives by being too obsessed with it. I mean, that whole idea of addiction where you can't go anywhere, you can't do anything without your phone, you start to get nervous, you always got to have it in your hand, you're checking it 50 times. The emails, Facebook, social media, and the negative comments, and really letting those get in your soul and for you to believe the bad things that are said. I think that you've got to take the negatives with Facebook, and through education and open conversation, we can help students learn how to take those negatives and turn them into possible opportunities, and for them to keep their self-esteem through succeeding in those opportunities.
Nowadays, there are lots of trends in the education field when it comes to technology. One of the technology trends in the education field right now is the Apple Initiative at the Delaware State University. They're starting to give their students iPads and MacBooks so that they can engage their students and help them work at their own pace. Online is a really good way those students are starting to go. So it's important for us to have that technology so we can share our experiences and our knowledge beyond the classroom.
It was craziness when it comes to the augmented reality of everything that is being produced and how very easy they are making it appear anyway that it is to be able to design something. So it makes it look like the computer can automatically design something for you. And we now also have speak to text, and you can, use Siri and be able to speak and have Siri find stuff for you. So it has that potential that's there, which is kind of scary to a person who is a creative person. And the reason that I'm getting hired by a client is for my ideas. That if I can speak my ideas into a computer device and then magically something appears, it's concerning.
Although technology can have a positive impact, it can easily become a distraction in the classroom. According to Susan Dynarski, a professor of education at the University of Michigan, college students learn less when they use computers or tablets during lectures.
First thing I had to do in my high school class, every class, was say, all right, put away the cell phones, there's that where it's just distracting. I mean, if you look around this classroom even, I have now, I make fun of it with the kids, but I have construction paper above the monitors that say computer monitor screens. I put that up on the screen when I want the kids to pay attention to me. The disadvantages is just keeping attention, I think, as much as anything. Also, there's technology that's going to break down, so whenever you're doing something, the chances are it's not when something's going to happen where you didn't save it and you're going to lose it, or it's not if, it's when, that sort of stuff too.
Having technology in education can benefit students, but it can disservice students if they don't have the same technology that their classmates do. Not all students can afford the newest technology, so it can be unequal at times.
Different school systems have a different amount of money. And I've worked in some of the richest schools and also some of the poorest schools in my career. I think it's important to have technology, and I think it's unfair that some communities have it easier to have even one Chromebook for every kid, and others don't even have many computers in their school at all. So I think it's important to have technology of some kind or another. I wish it was more equal. I wish it was the latest cutting edge technology, but it's not always the case. But an exposure to technology is, I think, important, and I wish it was more equal, if that makes sense.
It's important to have newer technology in education because you don't want to get behind. The last thing that we need to be doing is teaching our students the old way of doing things, and then when they get that job or they're up for that job and it comes down to our student and a student who was trained on newer technology, well, as a past employer, I, of course, would take somebody who knew that. So when it comes to education, it's important for them to have the tools to learn on in the first place so that they can then implement what they learned in real world.
As new and advanced technology enters the classroom, it will have more of an impact on the way students learn.
I think technology in the future will be both positive and negative, hopefully just a little bit if we have to have it at all. The positives would be that the students are learning with an ever-changing world, and as much as we can bring real world into the classroom, the better it is for our students.
Overall, technology has affected the way students learn in many different ways. It has helped to engage students, but it's also enabled cheating and distracted students. Inevitably, we will see more technology enter the learning process, and it will have more of an impact on students.